A very warm good morning to all. Respected Principal, Dr. S.S. Engineering, today's resource person, Dr. Meena Chandavarkar, Chief Advisor, Quality Assurance, VVV Sangha, Coordinator, Dr. C.M. Javalgi, faculty from all over India who have registered for this 5 days AICT Atal sponsored FTP on teaching organizational behavior for the institutional growth, which is scheduled from 8th to 12th November 2021. The main objective of this program is to empower the faculty members to teach organizational behavior for the organizational growth. More precisely, basic aim of this program is to facilitate the faculty members to translate the critical theories and concepts of OB into practical applications oriented format. So during FTP, major focus will be given on the following area, that is to enrich the knowledge related to OB and its major challenges, to analyze the individual psychological processes associated with organizational growth, to develop interpersonal skills, group dynamics, and emergence of leadership within the organization, to address the issues related to power, politics, and conflict within the organization, along with handling strategies, to enhance skills for developing and solving case studies related to critical incidents. So with this brief introduction about the FTP, now I request Dr. S.S. Engineering, Principal, Basaveshwar Engineering College, to welcome the delegates. Sir, please.
Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Thank you. So it gives me immense pleasure to welcome Dr. Meena Chandavarkar ma'am, who was the former Vice Chancellor of Women's University, Vijayapur. So I, on behalf of Basaveshwar Engineering College, Bagalkot, the BVVS management, and also the these kinds of programs will not be possible without the participation of the appropriate participants. Hence, it also gives me immense pleasure to welcome all the faculty members who have registered for this Atal FADP on teaching organizational behavior for institutional growth, wherein Basaveshwar Engineering College, Bagalkot has been selected as one of the colleges out of the several FDPs that have been planned by Atal Academy. I do understand that there are around 131 participants who have registered for this workshop or the faculty development program, of which around 7 are in-house. Hence, I deem it a pleasure to welcome all the faculty members from various engineering colleges and also the other scholars and the participants from the industries for this faculty development program. In my opinion, AICT, which has been established way back in 1945, even before the independence, is rendering a yeoman service in the field of technical education and has brought in a lot of changes and developments in the field of technical education. The Atal Academy, that is AICT Training and Learning Academy, established in 2018 with an intention to impart quality technical education, has taken up several measures of this nature to organize the faculty development programs across the country, wherein it gives an opportunity for the faculty to enhance their knowledge and skills. I am sure in the days though Ministry of Education, currently called as formerly the MHRD, Ministry of Human Resources and Development, I do understand that AICTE will be one of the pillars amongst the four in the renamed MHRD, that is Ministry of Education, and will continue to play a vital role in the field of technical education. Just to give a little insight of Basaveshwar Engineering College, Bagalkot. Basaveshwar Engineering College, Bagalkot was established in 1963 and is 58 years old college in the northern part of Karnataka, which is a government aided institution, and we started with only 3 engineering programs, and currently we have 9 programs in engineering at undergraduate level and 9 postgraduate programs, and 10 of the departments being recognized as the research center by WITU. We are also been recognized by AICTE and a part of UGC, wherein we hold the certificates of 12B and F also. I am very happy that I am an alumnus of Basaveshwar Engineering College during 1981 to 85, and since 85 I have been part of this organization and have been working as a faculty for the last 36 years, and it's my proud privilege to be heading as an alumni my alma mater as the principal of Basaveshwar Engineering College, and it's a proud moment for me to be a part of this program also. Today we have around almost 50% of our faculty who have their highest qualification, PhD, who have obtained their degrees from the recognized institutions like NITs and IITs. And in the recently NIRF ranking of 2021, Basaveshwar Engineering College, Bagalkot has been placed in the rank band of 251 to 300. And I am also very proud to say that in the last 4 years consecutively, we are placed in the rank band of 151 to 300. And it's a credit for us that if we leave apart the top 100 institutions which constitute NITs and IITs, so out of the 3,500 colleges across India, to be placed in the rank band of 100 to 250 is a great accomplishment. We have also been recently selected at national level by AICTE New Delhi for setting up Idea Lab, wherein we will be receiving a fund of 55 lakh from AICTE and 55 lakh will be the contribution from the management or the college. And all our programs at Basaveshwar Engineering College, Bagalkot, 100% accreditation of UG programs, and 50% of the programs also have been accredited at postgraduate level. We are also accredited by UGC, that is National Assessment and Accreditation Council, NAAC of UGC, with A grade and a CGP of 3.34 on a scale of 4. We have been at the forefront in the field of technical education, not only in Karnataka but at national level. We have many credentials which can be presented on a different occasion, but to name few, I would say we have also established a community radio station, BEC Dhwani 90.4 FM during 2020, to see that the masses in and around Bagalkot are being educated about the technical know-how. And our Institution Innovation Council has secured 4.5 star rating on a scale of 5. And also we have been selected as a mentor institute by IIC of Ministry of Education. And we have been recognized as one of the best performing colleges in the top 25 at all India level by MHRD New Delhi also. that is Institution Innovation Council. And I'm very happy to say that Basaveshwar Engineering College has also been selected as a mentor institution by UGC under the scheme of Paramarsha, and we have received a grant of 30 lakhs. And college has been awarded gold rating by QS iGauge during 2019 and the E-Lead certification also. And we have been accredited by QS iGauge. We have been selected under Eka Bharata, Shrestha Bharata scheme, Unnata Bharata Abhiyana scheme, and we have adopted around 5 villages under MHRD. And we have secured All India rank of 314 and a zonal rank of 108 in Internchala of AICT also. Of late, we have started new courses, one at undergraduate level, the Artificial Intelligence and Machine Learning during 2020-21, and the Defense Technology, a postgraduate program in association with DRDO, and which is going to commence from this current academic year 2021. We have been doing extremely well at all fronts. Apart from our contributions in the field of technical education, our students and faculty have been doing extremely well in co-curricular and extracurricular activities also. And one of the important aspect is the college was selected on merit basis for the program and World Bank assisted program, that is TechCube, that is Technical Education Quality Improvement Program, since 2003. And the third phase completed only in the present year during the month of March, that is March 2021. And in all 3 phases, we have received a grant of around 40 crores. And this has helped us to enhance the infrastructure facilities along with the support from the management. And the faculty had an opportunity to upgrade their knowledge and skill. And apart from that, the postgraduate scholars and also the research scholars were provided the assistantship under this particular scheme. And I'm very happy to say that we have dispersed almost more than 3 crores as the assistantships to both, as teaching assistantship as well as the research assistantship to both PG and PhD scholars. We have been recognized twice as the best performing college under TechCube, both in phase 2 and phase 3. So on this day, I really feel proud that Basaveshwar Engineering College is rendering an yeoman service in the field of technical education. So I wouldn't take much time. I would rather pave way for the program and the course to be started. And once again, I heartily welcome all the participants, and I am sure you will all reap the benefit of these particular programs which have been launched by the government of India. So I thank the coordinators and also congratulate them for having been selected to organize this FDP, and wishing you all the best. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Now I request Dr. C.M. Jevalgi to introduce today's resource person, Dr. Meena Chandavarkar, Madam.
Good morning, everybody. Am I audible? Respected Principal, sir, today's speaker, Dr. Meena Chandavarkar, all the participants of the FDP, and my dear colleagues. It gives me an immense pleasure to introduce the first speaker of the FDP, Dr. Meena Rajiv Chandavarkar. She happens to be my teacher. I had an opportunity to interact with Madam during our placement activities way back 15 or 20 years back. So that's why I feel it proud privilege for myself to introduce Dr. Meena Rajiv Chandavarkar. Was born and brought up in Mumbai, India. After completing her master's in commerce from Mumbai University in 1977, and she obtained doctorate from Karnataka University, Dharwad, Karnataka, for her dissertation on HRD and productivity in 1996. She commenced her career as a probationary officer with Union Bank of India, where she worked for 7 years. Later, she switched over to the field of higher education and served in the various capacities like principal of SRN Arts and MBS Commerce College for 21 years, director, UGC Academic Staff College, Karnataka University, Dharwad for 4 years, and then as the Vice Chancellor, Karnataka State Women's University, Bijapur for 4 years. At present, she is the Chief Advisor, Quality Assurance for BVV Sangha, Bagalkot, a leading group of over 162 educational institutions in northern part of Karnataka. She is also the National Joint Secretary of Bharatiya Shikshan Mandal Nagpur, an organization devoted to the objective of national resurgence in the field of education. It aims at evolving a national education policy, curriculum, system and methodology based on an integral Bharatiya vision. Dr. Chandavarkar has had an opportunity to serve in crucial capacities at a national and a state level on behalf of the HRD Ministry, Government of India, New Delhi, University Grant Commission, New Delhi, Government of Karnataka, Department of Higher Education, Bangalore, and NAC, Bangalore. Besides, she has completed a major and one minor research project sanctioned by UGC New Delhi, has guided scholars for PhD and written books related to quality circles and human resource development. Her participation in over 11 international and 60 national conferences and research publications in journals has given her a deep insight in her area of study. Her research experience of 20 years and over 3 decades of academic experience has molded her to be an efficient administrator and able, inspiring academician. Dr. Chandavarkar's potential was displayed in her achievement in the coveted post of Vice Chancellor. To mention a few, a noticeable increase in student strength leading to women empowerment, focus on research and curriculum upgradation, very impressive increase in infrastructure, academic and administrative audits, first assessment by NAC Bangalore, and qualifying to receive grants from HRD Ministry under RUSA took the university to a higher levels. She has also been actively involved in social outreach activities as a member of many organizations and NGOs, mainly for conducting workshops on personality development for the youth. A recipient of over 15 awards, of which the crucial was the Best Teacher in Commerce award given by the Government of Karnataka, Department of Higher Education, Bangalore. Once again, I take it privilege to introduce the chief speaker of today's function, Dr. Meena Rajiv Chandavarkar, and I request the madam to take over the proceedings further.
Thank you, Dr. Jabalgi, the principal of Basaveshwar Engineering College, Bagalkot, Dr. Engineering, the coordinators, Dr. Jabalgi and Dr. Rashmi Hunnur, all the participants who are present here for this 5 days very useful FDB program sponsored by AICTE under the Atal Yojana.
and from this college, coordinated by the Department of Management and the Department of Industrial and Production Engineering. I'm very happy to be a part of this program and to set the ball rolling today as we have the first session, which is an introduction to organizational behavior. It is, I'll be just taking the basic concepts, the basic idea which is important for teaching organizational behavior and for also giving special focus on this aspect by any organization, be it corporate or an educational institution, to give special importance to this aspect known as organizational behavior. For any organization, the human resources are the most precious assets among the other assets like machines, materials, methods, and money. All the M's, M for man, followed by machines, materials, methods, and money. But man, which includes the woman also, is the most precious asset for an organization because investment in the human resource, it appreciates in value with increasing time. This is because the human resource, the people factor, they interact with each other, they learn from each other, they develop themselves, they upgrade themselves in terms of technology, and thus after a certain period of time, say 5 years or 10 years or 20 years, they appreciate in value. But when we look to other aspects like materials, money, and machines, they depreciate in value after continuous use. So this is the special feature of the human resource that it appreciates in value with increasing time. Further, investing is in human resources, it is better because you invest 1 rupee in the other factors of production to get a 1 rupee return. But in the human resources, it is 3 times. So naturally, getting 3 times the return is much better from this point of view. All other resources, they get connected to the organization through the people factor. If money has to be used, if machines have to start functioning, if methods have to be adopted, and if materials have to be utilized, all these resources require the individual for getting connected and making them productive to use for the organization. And hence, it's very essential that if the individual factor, if the people, they have to deliver effectively, then they need to be properly selected through an effective system of recruitment. Then they have to be properly trained because skills become obsolete, and skills which have been learned earlier, they need to be unlearned, sometimes learned again, and upgrade themselves according to the needs of the changing scenario. Finally, This is what differentiates the human resource from the other resources, that they need to be motivated again and again. Motivation is like fuel. You go on adding in the fire, and there is never any point when you can say that the fuel is sufficient. Similarly, the human resource needs to be motivated again and again. When we think of the need of the human capital, why is it necessary? Or what is the importance? What is the contribution of the human capital? First of all, the organizational goals are there, which have to be implemented, and the dreams, these goals have to be translated into reality. For this, performance is required. Performance by all the factors of production, for which the human capital is most important. To coordinate and to ensure that they work according to their capacity and their competence. And when performance is good, the productivity is enhanced. Productivity of the human resource, productivity of the organization, and also in terms of contribution towards the society and the national development. For organizational goals to be translated into productivity, control, safety, and satisfaction are essential, are necessary to ensure that maximum returns from the human capital are forthcoming. Individual behavior is dependent on many variables, because each individual has his own opinion, his own feelings, he has a different background, he is influenced by various factors, and intrinsically he is unique, he or she, they are unique in their own way. And hence, it's very essential to ensure that the individual behavior is understood, is really understood in its true sense, which is a very essential factor for organizational behavior. An individual's behavior is affected by his family background at home, similarly, the family at the workplace, because only when the atmosphere is congenial, when the uh, family atmosphere prevails, can the individual contribute in a happy and in a productive manner. So his education, his social networking, his relationships, both in the family and the workplace, his contribution to community, and his general well-being, all these affect the individual's behavior. This is a very important aspect when we speak of organizational behavior, and hence it's of utmost importance for any organization to consider all these aspects and to ensure that they are taken care of. The OB is just a systematic study and application of the knowledge of how individuals and groups act within the organizations where they work. Because, as I said earlier, the individual behavior, which also influences the group behavior, is dependent on many, many factors. And hence, OB is a tool used by people to coordinate their actions, the people's actions, to get something, to reach a goal, and to obtain something which they desire, which is dreamt of, and which is valued by the organization. Many people are employed in organizations, and organizations, through a system of processes, a methodology, they provide goods and services to the society. They also bring together people and resources to produce these products and services, because it is through the organization that the people work together to make the most effective use of people and resources. And hence, basically or essentially, organizations exist to create value. An educational institution creates enriched citizens, educated citizens for the nation, for the society. Organizations in the service sector, they provide human service to community. The corporate sector, it creates values in terms of products or services manufactured and delivered by them. So essentially, organizations exist to create value. And hence, it is important to understand what is the need, why this organizational behavior, why is it critical. As human resources are very, very precious, we need to understand what actually influences them and why do they behave in a particular manner, because this will be required, this influence or their nature will be required to know what impact it will have on the behavior of others. OB aspects are necessary to apply all concepts related to functional areas like marketing, like finance, like production, like services on people. So, because an organization deals with people, and because without the people nothing worthwhile can be achieved, it is of critical necessity to have a better understanding of self and self in relation to others. And this is the crux of the organizational behavior. To understand the group dynamics, people behave differently in different situations. As individuals at home, their behavior may be different. As an employee in a corporate setup or in an education institution, again, their behavior will be different. So, understanding the group dynamics, why does it differ? Why does the person act in a particular manner? What is it that influences his temperament, his emotional intelligence, his feeling of sympathy or empathy? All factors determine the group dynamics. OB is also necessary to enhance leadership and decision making skills. For any organization, be it small or big, it is the leader who matters. And as is the leader, so are the led. And the more effective the decision making skill of the leader, the more effective will be the performance of the people, leading to the ultimate goal of delivering something to society. So, understanding the leadership qualities and also the presence of mind which influences the decision making skills is of utmost importance. Replacing intuition and systematic studies with the help of a proper understanding of organizational behavior can improve the organization's predictive ability about human behavior. When an important decision has to be taken, how will the people react? Whether they will come up to the expectations, whether they will be happy with the decision taken. Because normally everyone feels what is in there for me? How will I benefit by this change system? So predicting how they will react will only be known when the human behavior is understood by the organization. So OB is also necessary for improving our understanding of expectations of others from us. Just as we need to know them, we must also know whether they have understood us as the employer, as the management, as the people at the helm of the affairs. Whether they know us or not is important. So there are some assumptions about human behavior. For example, age is a barrier to learning, it is assumed, especially with changing technology. People feel that with advancing age, it becomes more and more difficult to it becomes more and more difficult to uh, to understand new technology and to upgrade ourselves. Happy workers are productive workers, or happiness leads to productivity. This is also an assumption, and in my opinion, it is very important and it is true because a continual atmosphere, an atmosphere where excellence is triggered automatically, it comes through or it is possible only when workers are happy. It is said a rainbow appears not because it wishes to appear, but because circumstances are favorable for it to appear. What are the favorable circumstances for a rainbow to appear? When the sun, when there is sunlight, and when there is rain together, the beautiful seven colored rainbow, it manifests itself across the skies automatically. Similarly, when the rainbow of excellence is there in an organization, the beautiful colored rainbow of excellence will automatically manifest itself because the workers are happy, the management is supportive, there is a very uh, motivating environment in the workplace, and automatically the rainbow of excellence in this organization will take place. So happy workers are productive workers. Working collectively is better than working individually. These are the days of teamwork. Team, as we all know, signifies together each one achieves more. TEAM. And when we all work together, we can enhance our productivity in a better or in a more effective manner. Experience makes a man perfect. very true. It is not just an assumption, but it is a truth, because the more we are exposed to different types of processes of work experience with different people, our perfection is would be the end result. So experience does make a person perfect. Men make better leaders than women, it is assumed. But as a woman, I will never, I don't think it is true, because a woman and women have already established themselves as great leaders. So it was earlier an idea that men make better leaders, but the women have proved and they have come ahead in all the fields, you name it, and she has made it. That's all. Past success is a guarantee for future success. This is also just an assumption. Of course, it would be to some extent possible, but you can't take it for granted. You have to work hard. You have to ensure that the principles which you have stuck onto and which has ensured your past success will also help you to be successful in future. But there is no guarantee. Work pressure causes stress. It does cause stress because when there is a deadline for work to be completed, when a target is fixed, and when a particular time limit is set within which the work has to be done, which we see today in the IT industry, tremendous work pressure, and it has been the cause of stress. Similarly, since last year, since March 2020, the pandemic, the pandemic has also increased our stress in different from different points of view. So work pressure does cause stress. We must understand that the behavior of any individual, it is unpredictable, because it depends on many aspects. When he is happy, his behavior will be different. When he is stressed up, his temperament will show. And when he is not in a good mood, again his behavior will change. So if we know how the behavior, how the person perceives a situation, and what is it that matters to him, then behavior can be to some extent predicted. To some extent. Why does the behavior, why is it seen as non-rational by an observer? Because he does not have access to the same information. Everyone has access, but everyone doesn't have the capability or the competency to access the same information. And he does not perceive the environment in the same way, because all of us have different value systems, have different opinions, our feelings differ, and hence we may not perceive the environment in the same manner, because intentions are not seen, only the behavior is seen. And hence, a very important concept of organizational behavior is that the intentions of the individual should be understood. OB is crucial, extremely crucial for the progress of an organization, because it provides the roadmap to our lives in the organization. It helps us to understand not only ourselves but also others, and thus it is useful in different events, in different aspects of work, like marketing, like research, like creating an environment to motivate an individual, developing and maintaining cordial industrial relations, a very difficult but a very essential process. Maintaining a cordial atmosphere, because you can't expect people to be satisfied with everything you do, and they may have a right to object, to revolt, to strike, and hence understanding what is it that makes them happy, or what is it that helps to maintain cordiality in the workplace is crucial. OB helps to pursue career career in management, and also to take an upward trend in the economy, because everyone is ambitious and everyone has a right to go up the ladder of progress. Everyone has a right to understand what will be better for me, and it is of extreme importance that as people at the helm of affairs, as teachers, because all of us are teachers today, all the participants here being teachers, not only in our colleges and educational institutions, but also at home, and also when we see our children or our colleagues or our friends work in the corporate sector. Motivation is a very important aspect to be understood for a very effective organizational behavioral understanding. We can motivate the people by deputing them for their professional growth. It has been a very uh, welcome trend in all educational institutions, and such FDPs are being conducted. The faculty is sent for refresher programs, for orientation programs, for MDPs with the leading management institutes, either in India or abroad. So, deputation for professional growth, it it is a very important step for motivating our people, so that the organizational climate is an inspiring one. Sharing some good thoughts, examples, and stories. That is another important aspect of motivating people.
ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಸ್ಲೈಡ್ ಮೂವ್ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇಲ್ಲ ಮೇಡಮ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ, ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಇದೇ ಟೈಮ್ ಇಲ್ಲೇ ಪೇಜ್ ಡೌನ್ ಅಪ್ ಮಾಡಿ.
So, when we speak of sharing of good thoughts and examples, I am reminded of some thoughts which I would like to share here. There are many examples which we used to read. We used to, at some point of time in the uh, earlier part of this century, in the early 2000s, we used to get very nice email forwards. But then after WhatsApp has come, emails have taken a backseat, and WhatsApp stories also are uh, very inspiring. So send a good thought, or send a uh, good idea to your colleague, to your faculty, to your people in the workplace. It helps. It helps to keep them always motivated. One nice thought I read was, if you see the moon, you see the beauty of God. If you see the moon, you see the beauty of God. If you see the sun, you see the power of God. And if you see the mirror, you see the best creation of God. If you see the mirror, you see the best creation of God, that is yourself. Isn't it a good idea of telling your faculty, of telling your people that you are the best creation of God? He or she becomes happy and he or she is motivated by the thought that their manager or their boss or their principal or the vice chancellor, whoever it is, they are sending them good thoughts to inject a dose of motivation in yourself. So believe in yourself. We are all tourists and God is our travel agent. We are all tourists and God is our travel agent who has already fixed all our route reservations and destinations. So all our reservations are already done by God. But traveling well and traveling effectively, that is in our hands. So trust Him and enjoy the trip called life. So this was just a small example of a good thought which could be shared to keep our people motivated. Effective mentoring is a very important step to motivate our colleagues. Mentoring is a system in which a faculty is in charge of a small group of students, maybe 15 to 20 students, and in which the faculty on a one-to-one basis knows the students, every aspect of the students, not only the academic part of it, but also uh, the students' personal life. Because at that age, when our students come to the college, they are in a very difficult phase of their life, and at times they believe the teacher more than the parents. The teachers are the teachers are second parents in a second home, because college is a second home for them. So effective mentoring is a very important idea to keep our people motivated. A part of this is a patient listening to the personal issues of our colleagues. See, all of us have some problems or the other, either at home or in the workplace. No, there are no exceptions at all to this. And when a student or when a colleague or when any worker in the corporate sector is given a patient listening to his personal issues, it's really uh, it creates miracles. I am reminded of a small story which was forwarded to me, which said a date with a woman, a date with a woman, in which uh, a woman tells a husband to go on a date with another woman whom he loves very much. So he is surprised because who else would he love more than his wife, he feels. To which she says, it is your mother who is staying away, far away from us. Take a date, take her out for a dinner and spend some time with her. It's such a considerate thought which the wife makes to her husband. So the son, with all enthusiasm, he calls his mother and he tells her, Mom, I want to take you out for dinner today. Just the two of us, you and me. See, these are the days where parents are staying alone and children are separated either because of their work or because of other reasons. children are staying because of the need of independence, the need of freedom, the need of having your own space. Children stay separately. So the bond which is there between the mother and the son or the children, the parents and the children, it is no more there. And hence it's necessary, the wife thought it was necessary that the mother is taken out by her son for dinner. Both the son and the mother are very, very eager to meet one another at dinner. And then he comes and he picks her up, the mother, from her home. She is dressed in her best clothes, as though she is going out for a date. And it is really a date with the son, a motherly date with the son. So they both go, they go to a hotel, they plan to have good food there and then go for a movie. At the hotel, they spend hours together talking about what happened in their life, what happened last month, how life has been changing, what are the challenges in life, and how living into the past. And both the mother and the son have so many talks, they discuss so many items that they don't have time to go for the movie at all. The mother holds the child's hand tightly and she says, "Son, I love you, and you have given me a uh, very touching, you have made a very touching gesture by bringing me out for dinner. I would like to again take you for dinner, provided you allow me to invite you. Today you are paying, but next time you allow me to pay." He agrees and he goes away. They both part with a lot of good memories and happiness. And after a month, the mother dies of a massive heart attack. And the child, the son, is shocked and he recalls that the mother had told him that he would take her out for dinner. After a few days, he receives a cover from the hotel in which two vouchers are there and a note is there. And in the note, the mother has written that son, I wanted you to I wanted to take you out for dinner. I paid this bill in advance. I wasn't sure that I would be there, but nevertheless, I paid for two persons, one for you and the other for your wife. So she had an inkling perhaps that she would not be there, but she paid for two. If she was alive, she would accompany him, and if not, he would go with his wife. But she made it sure that she paid for that. And you will never know, she writes, you will never know what that night meant for me. I love you, son, she says. It's such a touching story and a touching moment. So at that time, the son says, I understood the importance of saying, I love you, mom. And he says, nothing in life is more important than God and your family. So give them what they deserve. Give your family what they deserve, because these things cannot be put off to some other time. Even we have heard of Dr. Abdul Kalam. He used to allow his colleagues to take some time off for the family, because he always said that the family needs us. So, some patient listening to the personal issues of our colleagues, they will help us a lot. Always remember, all are equal because we are all human beings. We are all human beings. And though we are in different designations, though we are man and woman, sex, our gender, or our designations do not matter. but we should remember that we all are equal. I am reminded of Sir Thomas Watson, Senior, when he was he was heading the IBM. He used to travel to all his outlets, factory outlets, and he used to carry a checkbook with him. And whenever he saw any person doing very well, he used to immediately remove a check and write out a check for the checkbook. He used to remove the checkbook, write out a check for $15 to $20, a small amount for him, and give it to that person who did well. And he used to say, "Well done, good job," in front of all his colleagues. Appreciating in front of all the colleagues, it matters a lot. It's a great booster dose of motivation. And he used to give the check to that person who worked well and motivated him. One fine day, he was told by his workers that one of their colleagues was not well, and he was in the last stage of his life, and his last desire was that his boss, Sir Thomas Watson, should visit him at home. And he said, "Okay, no problem. I can come and meet him. Let me see him." He goes there. He sees the colleague lying on the bed. He's very happy. The colleague is very happy at looking at Sir, and he and his family, they are all very excited that the head of the organization has come to meet them. As he looks around in the room, he sees three frames, photo frames, in which there are three checks, and three checks were earned by that person on three occasions, given by Sir Thomas Watson in appreciation of the work done. He is astonished and he says, "Why didn't you encash the checks? You spent some amount to frame the checks. Why didn't you encash them?" he says. To which his colleague replies, "Sir, I can earn money at any time, but my boss appreciating my work in front of everyone, that is something which I can never forget. That is something which has gone deep down into my heart. You have showed that all are equal, no matter what is our position. By coming here to my home now, I'm very indebted to you." So these are small examples of how motivation to our people to ensure that a good organizational climate is there is forthcoming. Emphasize the acute necessity to change, because change is inevitable. We see these are the days of the fourth industrial revolution, when things are becoming obsolete. Every decade, 15 to 20 jobs become obsolete, and new jobs are required with new skills and new qualifications, new capabilities. So we have to change according to the changing times, and the necessity to change has to be among our people, which we have to ignite. So we have to learn, it is a small bird like an eagle. We all know that the eagle has the longest lifespan among the birds, longest lifespan. But after, its two great assets are its beak, the sharp beak, and the talons which are there on its paws, the nails, the talons which are there affixed to its paws. With the help of the beak, the sharp beak and the talons, the eagle, it catches its prey and it feeds itself. When the eagle is about 40, in its 40s, the talons become the talons become they are no more useful to catch the prey, and the beak is also bent, and the talons are not sharp, and hence it becomes difficult for the eagle to catch its prey and to feed itself. Now there are two options in front of the eagle: either to die by not changing, or to change, which is a difficult process, which takes about 5 months, that is 150 days, to change itself. And do you know how it does? First of all, the eagle, if it wants to change, it goes right on the top of the mountain and it sits in the nest, and it goes on rubbing the beak against a rock till the beak falls off. The beak, as I said, it is bent, so it's of no use. So to get rid of the thing which is no more in use, it rubs itself against the rock and it knocks off the beak. Next, it plucks out, when the beak grows, the new beak grows, with the new beak, it plucks off all the talons. So because the I'm sorry if I was not audible for some time. Yeah. So there are great challenges and opportunities also for OB. We have to respond to globalization because now the world is the globe is in our hands. When Dhirubhai Ambani said that "Kar lo dunya meant when he said "Kar lo duniya hamari muthi mein," he said that was the time when he was thinking of the mobile, the Reliance mobile, and the revolution which it created. And today, as he said, the entire globe is in our fist. So, according to the changing needs of globalization, we have to change, we have to work in networking organizations, not only in your own town, not only in your own district or state, not only in your own country, but also across the globe. So, responding to the changing needs of globalization is an acute, it is an opportunity, I feel, and we have to take advantage of the opportunity. One of the challenges is managing the workforce diversity. We have to deal in a metropolitan city or in any a foreign country, the culture, the values, the the beliefs of the people and the family backgrounds, they being different, the workforce diversity, it, it poses a great challenge for an organization. And hence, managing them by understanding their background, helping them to improve their quality, personal quality, their intellectual enrichment, and thereby to enhance the productivity of the organization. It assumes a lot of importance. These are the days where many options are available for our precious human resource. So to attract them, to retain them in our organization, and to prevent attrition to other organizations because of the increasing competition. This is a great challenge which any organization faces. And from this point of view, a number of services like improving customer service, improving the people skills with the sole intention of empowering them, of giving them a feeling that they are being cared for, of giving them a feeling that they are the most precious assets of that organization. It is something which is a wise decision for any organization. There are so many things which may be uncertain, which may be confusing, or which may be temporary in nature. As I said, the pandemic forced us to teach online, to, to upgrade ourselves by learning new technology, by learning how to generate e-content, how to help our students to come out of it, to promote e-commerce, and so on. So, coping with such uncertainties again are a great challenge for organizational behavior. Nevertheless, an organization has to stimulate innovation and change. It has to stimulate because the innovation is something which will help the people to see the invisible, to hear the inaudible, and to believe the incredible, and thereby do the impossible. And that is only possible when we change. As we know that the internet has flattened the world, the barrier between countries, the barrier between different organizations, it is no more there now. So taking advantage of this opportunity and creating a very inspiring atmosphere by understanding organizational behavior is the critical and the crucial need of the hour. Another opportunity, I think, would be to help our employees to balance work and life conflicts. As I said, every individual has some conflict, either at home, it may be with the family, it may be some personal issues with the parents, with the family, or it may be in the workplace. They may not be, because lot of politics and power they play in any work atmosphere, and helping them to strike a balance, because nowadays we see in each home the woman, especially when she's educated, she also likes to work and likes to make use of her knowledge and her capabilities, her competencies. And in such a situation, her balancing the work and the life at home becomes difficult. So, a helping hand from the employer to the employees by allowing them to work from home, or by allowing them some leave, which may be even uh, beyond something what is expected, which is not as per the rules, but just showing a human, giving a human touch to your approach would help the organization from this point of view. And most importantly, ethical behavior. Improving the ethical behavior is a must, a need of the hour. It is possible that the manager is tempted to give wrong performance appraisals, or the teacher is not completing or not teaching in the manner in what is expected, or some marks are given to the students which are not uh, which are not according to what he or she has written or what he or she deserves. So, such increasing challenges as far as ethics are concerned, they pose a great concern as far as managing organizational behavior is concerned. And I thought I would share this picture with you all. When we speak of responding to globalization, the world has become flat now, and people from all the countries, having all sorts of belonging to different races, religions, faiths, languages, different cultures, different beliefs, but all are working together to help your organization. And no matter who they are and where they come from, having a positive response to the global needs of the situation is a must. It is interesting to note that the approach towards organizational behavior is a multidisciplinary one. We all know the recent National Education Policy 2020, which has been implemented already in all the states of India. It focuses on the multidisciplinary approach, which was followed by our great universities like Nalanda and Takshashila. It is interesting to note that organizational behavior also has a multidisciplinary approach. Take, for example, when you speak about the personality and the motivational aspects of the individuals, it is nothing but psychology. When you speak of team building, which is very essential in the 21st century, it is the teams who matter for any organization. So, team building deals with sociology, crucial decision making, which has an impact on the profit making ability of the organization. or on taking such decisions which have a far-reaching effect on the sustainability of the organization. This is nothing but the influence of economics. So economics, psychology, sociology has already entered into the organizational behavior together with political science when we speak of the power politics and the impact in organizations. A lot of uh, ideologies are there, a lot of cold wars are there because of the politics, power politics, which makes it very essential for the leaders, the managers to understand the OB as OB aspect. And the stress part of it, because life is very stressful, whether you are a teacher or you are in the corporate sector or you are in an NGO or you are in a service organization. Stress is related to medical science and an attitudinal change or a change in the group processes, the way we function, the way we work together, the way we adopt a positive or a negative attitude. It is related to social psychology and the cultural aspects of all the individuals who make up for that organization or of the organization itself. It deals with anthropology. So all the subjects are covered in this managerial subject, that is organizational behavior. So as it is essentially, it is a part of the management subject, but in practice, it is to be practiced by all the organizations, whether in education or in service or in the corporate sector. So planning, organizing, leading and controlling, they are the essential aspects of management. Without planning, the organization will have no goals. When the goal is set, organizing about how to reach the goal, and then leading, taking all the people together, taking together as a family, and to help them to reach the goal, to go in the right direction. At the same time, controlling them because they may go off track, they need to be monitored, they have to compare whether they are on the right track or not, whether the goal is being a step nearer to the goal is being achieved or not. If there is any mistake, any corrective action, if it is taken or not. So that is an essential part of the management aspect of it. Together with all these roles, the interpersonal roles, the informational roles, and the decision making roles. Interpersonal roles are important as they are related to the interpersonal relations between the boss and the leader and the led, or the boss and his colleagues, between the colleagues themselves, or between the departments, interpersonal departments, between the liaising officers. So also informational role are also they play a crucial part because continuous monitoring and dissemination of information is an indispensable part of the functioning of any organization. Crucial decisions have to be taken for the entrepreneur, by the entrepreneur, if any disturbances are there or the resource crunch is there. Resource crunch has to be handled in a satisfactory manner. If necessary, some negotiations may be required. So all these management roles put together, they are a very important aspect related to the OB concept, because when you have to manage people, you have to learn so many skills. Skills like motivating, which I have just shared, keep on motivating your people. Skills like communicating in such a manner that you are clear, you are crisp, and you are understood by your colleagues. Creating an environment where the colleague looks forward to work during the daytime, because the best part of our life and the best part of our day is spent in the workplace. Hence, creating a positive atmosphere, having a clear cut vision for the future in which not only the organization but also the human resource will have an opportunity to develop. That is a true visionary leader. For this process, mentoring would be required, because mentoring for a one-to-one relationship, mentoring for having a family atmosphere, mentoring for creating an atmosphere of trust in which the team building is effective. Building should be such that every member of the team should have that feeling that I am responsible for the success or otherwise of the team, and hence my my contribution to the team is very uh, critical and very essential. So, for effective team building and for effective communication, listening with patience, listening to the problems in the workplace and also at home would be an important part of the skills to manage, which will help in creating trust, which will help in creating dedication and commitment on the part of the human resource. So, with all these skills, collaborating with the team, collaborating for the project, collaborating with the family in the workplace would be possible and would be effective. So there are basically two sets in the OB model. We speak of dependent variables and independent variables. The dependent variables, they are related to the productivity of the organization, the never-ending problem of absenteeism in the organization, absenteeism without any intimation, without any information, without any feeling of concern or responsibility, thereby adversely affecting the turnover of the organization. So the dependent variables have to be handled in such a manner that the organizational citizenship is ensured and a feeling of belonging, a feeling of relating yourself with your organization is forthcoming. Together with the dependent variables are the independent variables for the individual, for the group, and for the organization as a whole. For the individual, as I already said, all the skills which have to be managed, they are all essentially the individual skills or individual variables. At the group level, openness in the group, frankness, the feeling of a family relationship, the trust, and the sharing and caring in the group, that is an important aspect. Finally, it is the organizational system which will determine the success or otherwise due to the OB concept which has been practiced in the organization, which focuses on its culture, on its structure, and the HR policies and practices. So all these together, they determine the the management aspects, the management roles played in an effective OB, in ensuring an effective OB climate. And as I have been repeatedly saying, that team working is the key requirement for any organization, whether a corporate organization or a family. Teamwork is a must. We all know at home, the parents don't have to tell their children that we all have to work together. It is that feeling, that intrinsic feeling from within, which makes the children work for the parents and for the parents to work for the children, and thereby having a cohesive, loving, affectionate atmosphere at home. In the similar manner, it is this family concept which helps the family atmosphere in the workplace also. I'll not hesitate to say teams convert energy into synergy. Energy is the ordinary energy. Synergy is represented by the syndicate energy. The syndicate energy is something which is extraordinary, and hence teams convert the apparently impossible to possible. They convert the ordinary into extraordinary. If mathematically 2 plus 2 is 4, dear friends, teams make it 2 plus 2 equal to 22. So mathematically also it is proved that teams are indispensable. Team working is indispensable for any organization. We have to be proud that we belong to a nation which has many, many strengths. India is a happening place in the world economy, and we have seen the on a number of counts, India has proved that India is a Vishwa Guru. It is a global leader. 21st June of every year has been accepted as the Yoga Divas, the International Yoga Day. Imagine more than 175 countries across the world observing 21st June as the International Yoga Day. So isn't India a happening place? We have a rich demographic dividend. We have a rich population between the ages of 18 to 35, which is the crux of the nation. We have an enormous captive market from in all sectors, whether agriculture or minerals or forest resources or ocean resources or any other natural resources. The growing middle class offers a rich market for all the marketing activities. The tremendous surge in the online marketing is a proof for this. The near self-sufficiency in food sector, a very, very strong and a conservative banking system, hardworking nature, the ethics which we as Indians follow, it has helped us to succeed in so many countries of the world. Most of the, a very good majority of the persons working in the Silicon Valley, they are Indians. That speaks of the hard working and the innovative and creative potential of we Indians, together with the largest speaking English population and third in terms of scientifically trained manpower across the globe, is something which we boast of. We also have opportunities. Our fine minds and all the strengths which I just mentioned, they help us to convert whatever challenges may be there into opportunities. Even the depreciating rupee, it is an opportunity because exports stand to benefit. Financial economy also as is a very strong one. So for some really good organizational behavioral climate in the in the in the workplace, we have to continuously not only encourage our people to improve themselves, but we have to improve ourselves. Improve yourself by learning to learn, learning to unlearn, and learning to relearn, which is difficult because all that you have learned in so many years becomes difficult to forget. But at some place, you have to unlearn and you have to relearn. So, learning by watching, learning by copying, not from the unethical aspect of it, from the ethical aspect, learning to upgrade your efficiency, learning your self management skills, to know how to observe, to know, to question, to be curious, to inquire, to be inquisitive, to set goals not only for the organization but for yourself. And to reach the goals, you have to rehearse. When you practice, you become perfect. So, continuous practicing helps you to reinforce yourself and to ensure that all the skills or all the abilities which you expect your people to have are also are also um, are also upgraded by you. So just to quickly go through some case studies. Uh, for example, I have just taken some examples. A shift from the offline teaching to the online teaching, which we had to change last year due to the pandemic. So this FDP aims at how to change in the organization, how the organization, the educational institution can benefit from knowing knowledge of organizational behavior. So we as teachers, we are concerned with pedagogical objectives for each case study. So we have to understand what what would be the change in our methodology of teaching. First thing is we were caught unaware because of the pandemic. We had to upgrade ourselves. Now we have to discuss what are the nature of challenges, whether the decision taken by our institution and the support given to us by our management, by the government was okay or not, sufficient or not, whether the evaluation from teacher, student and management perspective, whether it is satisfactory and does it offer the best possible solution, to discuss about various stakeholders on the change in this um, teaching methodology from offline to online. Of course, it has proved very beneficial, but it may have its own problems also. So this could be a case study Second case study I have just touched upon is about business sustainability. In a suppose an example of a IT sector, a business is it is expected, uh, the manager expects a certain result to take place because the season is very good, business has to be at the maximum, and it has to ensure that. So how can we have pedagogical objectives for business sustainability is something uh, which we have to understand when we think of the different approaches like the ATCT approach as different from the conventional form, and how would it be more effective. A family business for 3 generations, especially in the Hindu undivided families. There have been families, for example, in a place like North Karnataka, where handloom weavers are there. Last 3 generations, handloom weaving has been done, but now they want to switch over uh, to machines, to use of machines, to make it quick, to make it more profitable. Because children have also done MBA from big institutions of the nation, even from abroad, and how to manage the family business with the help of technology, and how to adapt to the new setup. That could be one case. Similarly, the food industry, we all hear of the Zomato and the Swiggy and all the different facilities given. Uh, Whether the food industry, yeah, everything may be good, but there may be some challenges. And to teach the challenges, we have to apply the SWOT analysis together with the PESTEL mode, in which economics and social and political, technological, and legal aspects will have to be covered, and the organization's environment has to be studied. We also have heard of a very popular managing director and CEO, the woman who, of course, had exceptional leadership abilities, but also because of some mistakes, uh, that woman, which took her bank to the uh, highest stage, was very unceremoniously had to be removed because of unethical decision making. This could be a part of our approach. And the last one, that research and consultancy regarding different situational uh, aspects to be considered for different people, because people differ. Whatever is suitable for me may not be suitable for another person, and in a team there are different sorts of people. So whether to bid or not for a project, whether who are the persons who should be included in the team, what will be the constraints which the leaders will have to face, and what are the individual problems which we may have to face, are some of the aspects which we as teachers of management and teachers teaching organizational behavior will have to really think seriously about. And with these few words, I thank all the participants for the patient listening. I thank the organizers for giving me this valuable opportunity of sharing my thoughts and views with a big gathering of intellectual persons on the topic of organizational behavior. Thank you, one and all.
Thank you, madam, for throwing light on introductory part of OB and for highlighting on the impact of individual behavior on individual as well as organizational growth. Thank you very much, madam. We are running out of time because sharp at 11 o'clock we have to join the inaugural function which is organized by AICT Atal. Hence, we will take one or two questions. So participants, if you have any questions, you can ask.
No, you can unmute and you can ask the questions.
Hello, am I audible?
Yeah,
Yes,
yes,
madam.
madam.
Good morning, everyone. Madam, my question is this: that we as an organization talk about all these things, ethical behavior, teamwork, but my experience says even after that, in every organization, we face unethical behavior, dirty politics. So, what is your opinion?
Yes,
How to
madam.
overcome such situations?
See, that is the bitter truth of life. Though we say, and what you say is absolutely correct, but it doesn't mean that we have to be unethical or we have to be victims of any power politics. See, without you need two hands, to clap. So let us introspect ourselves. Let us see if any mistake has been done on our part, and let us try to understand what are the expectations of the employers or your seniors, and let us try to strike a balance between the two. I do agree with you when you say that, but then it doesn't mean that we have to go on doing whatever you feel is true. It may be unethical. It's difficult.
Ma'am,
Yes.
correct. I agree to you, but those people who follow ethics and do their work sincerely are suffering most.
No, madam, I don't
I
agree. See, temporarily you may feel that you are suffering, but for every good deed, you will get 10 good deeds in return. You mark my words. For every one good deed, you will get 10 good deeds. And it is only a question of time. Today, you may feel you are victimized, but in the long run, you will benefit.
okay. Thank
I
you,
wish you
ma'am.
all the best. Wish you all the best.
Thank you.
Hello. Hello.
Hello. Yes.
This is Mayank. In Hindi, there is one sentence like that. सारे तालाब में ही भांग घुली हुई है. Then how we will survive?
सारे तालाब में ही भांग घुली हुई है. So
then how we will survive?
yeah, you have to see those aspects which are good. There can never be the full. There can never be a lake full of bad aspects only. There will be something good, and uh, it, it is a proverb maybe, but then there will be some good aspects, and let us try to think of the good ones and neglect or not bother about the bad ones.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, I guess there are no more questions. So I request all the participants to join the inaugural function. The link is shared in WhatsApp group. And soon after the inaugural function, that is at 11:30, we are going to start with the second session that is on contemporary research and ethics in HR and OB. So the inaugural function link is shared in the WhatsApp group as well as to your mail ID. So I request all the participants to kindly join. And after the inaugural, please again join with the same link for the second session. Thank you.